Hi friends, I hope you're all doing well. I'm so glad to be able to share this spiritual practice with you. As we begin, I invite you to get comfortable. Take a moment to feel your groundedness on the earth, the life flowing into you through your breath, and the awareness in your own consciousness. Relax, still your body and mind, and open yourself to Spirit in whatever way is helpful for you. Feel free to pause the video until you feel ready to dive into the work of today's practice. And then when you're ready, invite images into your mind of the world as you see it now. Don't try to control or judge those images. Just let them flow into your awareness. Note them for a moment, and then release them to make space for the next image. When you feel that you've done this enough, take a few moments to collate your images into a one-sentence story that reflects how you feel about the world now. You can write the story down in your journal or on your phone, or you can just let the words flow through you. But once again, don't judge. Don't judge your story. Don't try to fit it into any external standard to which you may be tempted to conform. Just allow the story to emerge. And then when you've got your one-sentence story in front of yourself, ask yourself what you would want to change about your story of the world. Where do you fit into the story? What impact does the story have on your life? And what would you prefer to be different? Sit with your thoughts and feelings for a moment, and then invite the Divine Spirit to ignite your imagination as we begin to explore what a different story might look like. And this prayer may be helpful to you. Spirit of God, fill my eyes with a vision of your dream for my world. Fill my mind with the wisdom to see how that dream may become a reality. And fill my being with the courage and strength to do what it takes to live in your country, even as I live in the ordinary world. So may it be. How much pride do you have in your nationality, in your country? I cheer loudly when the Springboks or the Proteas or Bafana Bafana take the field. For those not in the know, these are the names of the South African national rugby, cricket and soccer teams. I love the diversity of our population, and I never cease to be awed by the natural beauty in my home country. But if I'm honest, nationalism has never really made sense to me. Perhaps it's because I've held dual citizenship for over 2 decades. I'm both South African and Irish, although I have yet to visit Ireland, which is the home of my maternal grandmother. Or perhaps it's because I came to faith in my early teens, and it was drilled into me that following Jesus came before any other loyalty I might have. Or maybe it's that even though I haven't traveled much, I have traveled enough to know that people are people everywhere in the world. I've watched mothers from Africa to Israel to the USA run after their children, sweep them up in their arms and kiss their tummies. I've seen people across the world weep at the graveside of loved ones. I've watched religious ceremonies in multiple cultures and recognized that although the language, names and specifics may be different, the longing is the same. And living in South Africa, where we have 11 official languages and even more cultures, I've had to recognize that there are limitless, valid ways to express our humanity. We are all human, no matter where we come from, who we are, or what we've done. To paraphrase Shylock from Shakespeare's Merchant of Venice, we all have hands, organs, dimensions, senses, affections, passions. We are all fed with the same food, hurt with the same weapons, subject to the same diseases, healed by the same means, warmed and cooled by the same winter and summer. If you prick us, we all bleed. If you tickle us, we all laugh. If you poison us, we all die. When we have so much in common, I struggle to understand why imaginary lines on a map hold such importance for us. Astronauts in space, looking back at our Earth, see no lines, just one solid unified ball. It's all one. Now, I understand that there's benefit to separating us in order to create order out of chaos and to ensure that needs are met. I recognize that nation states provide some benefits that enrich our lives. I'm not an anarchist. But I fail to understand why some people would feel superior to others simply because of some geographic fluke of their birth. Or why millions of children dying of hunger in Africa means less on a global scale than thousands of people dying in the USA in September of 2001. Both are tragedies. In our last chapter, we explored the Israelite dream that David's kingdom would be restored. This dream arose out of a long history of oppression and suffering at the hands of wealthier and more powerful nations. It was a political dream of self-determination, independence, freedom, and security for the Jewish people. And it was a dream that was fed to Jewish children along with their mother's milk. So there can be no doubt that Jesus was influenced by that dream. But what Jesus did with that dream may well be what got him killed. He had an awkward habit of refusing to prioritize the Jews in his preaching about God's country. He welcomed Gentiles into his followers, including soldiers of the oppressive Roman army. Jesus was incapable of getting passionate about nationality or culture. He saw the dream of David's kingdom restored, but he couldn't leave it as it was given to him. He changed it radically. At his trial in John's Gospel, Jesus is interrogated by the Roman governor, Pontius Pilate. At one point, Pilate asks Jesus, "Are you the king of the Jews?" To which Jesus answered, "Is this your own question, or did others tell you about me?" Perhaps Pilate sensed what Jesus was trying to say, and so he asked another question. "Am I a Jew?" And to this, Jesus gave his famous and greatly misunderstood reply. "My kingdom," he said, "is not an earthly kingdom." Or as the New International Version puts it, "My kingdom is not of this world." Now, in my Christian upbringing, this was usually interpreted to mean that Jesus did not claim to be king of any earthly kingdom, but of heaven, of that otherworldly place where we go when we die. But to interpret Jesus' words this way is to miss everything else he taught about God's reign. Jesus wasn't talking about some spiritual realm beyond earth. He wasn't pushing his kingdom off into some future heaven after death. He was saying that his kingdom is not a place. It's not a nationality. God isn't English or American or Korean or Zulu. God isn't male or female or white or black or straight or gay. When Jesus said that his kingdom is not earthly, He meant that God's country doesn't operate by our rules of nationalism and patriotism. Jesus took the political dream of David's kingdom and made it spiritual in the sense that it wasn't defined by geography or nationality or race, religion, language, or culture. The kingdom Jesus speaks of is spiritual in the sense that it connects us all, no matter who we are or where we're from. It goes so far beyond the dream of David's kingdom being restored and becomes a dream of our world, united in our common humanity, in our connectedness with one another, and in the universal rule of love. The moment we make our religion more important than our connectedness with other human beings, we have ceased to live in God's country. The moment we choose our freedom over the well-being of others, we have ceased to live in God's country. The moment we believe that some human beings are more valuable, more important, or more worthy of dignity and life, we have betrayed the values of God's country. So yes, we live in different countries. We have different nationalities and cultures. And in one sense, we can't escape that. There is nowhere on earth that we can be free of nationalism and human politics. But within this world of lines and loyalties, within this world of patriotism and national pride, there is another reality. There is a way of being that is not defined by these shallow human constructs. There is a dream that is out of this world. A dream of a way of being where we all recognize and celebrate our common humanity. And there is the hope that one day we will wake up from our nationalistic nightmares and embrace this dream of living freely, peacefully, and lovingly together, all of us together, in God's country, where everyone is welcome and where everyone belongs. Return to that space of groundedness and stillness that you were in at the start of this practice. Allow a few moments for this reflection to sink into your heart, and take note of anything that stood out for you, that challenged you or inspired you. Now go back to the story you wrote in the beginning of this practice. Compare it to the dream that we've just been talking about. And now I encourage you to write another story about the world. This time, make it a little longer, maybe 1 or 2 paragraphs, and describe the world as you would like it to be. Keep in mind how you see the world now as expressed in the short story you wrote earlier, and also keep in mind the dream that we've explored in today's reflection. And try to make this new story that you're writing now realistic and practical, but also hopeful and filled with possibilities. And again, you can pause the video if you need a while to do this. And when you're done writing your new story about the world, make sure to keep it somewhere close to you so that you can return to it throughout the week, so that you can allow it to fill your heart and mind with its inspiration. And now, as we prepare to return to the practical details of living, take a moment to identify one thing you can do to live as if your hopeful story of the world was a reality now. Think of one thing that can move you a little closer to making this dream real for you, and commit to doing that thing as consistently as you can through the week. See yourself living in this new world of your story. Imagine making the habits and feelings and attitudes of your story the way you actually live now, even though your world, the one you're really in right now, may be very different from the one you've been imagining. And now go into your week to live in God's country, even as you live in our ordinary world.